First, the Grown Man Cypher.
That's it, man.
Yep.
Grown Man Cypher, man.
Thanks for joining us. It's the first episode ever.
Indeed.
Indeed. We thought that perspective would be a good thing to talk about because
Kind of opener.
Yeah, because I mean, if you don't have perspective, you can't use perspective on anything that's going on in your life. Then you're going to be kind of lost.
Indeed.
So, perspective, a particular attitude toward a way of regarding something, a point of view.
Yeah,
so
indeed.
it's pretty simple. We probably think about I think perspective is like readily in our mind, but I don't know how often we actually use it correctly to our benefit. What do you think?
I mean, it's like, I think your point's right and exact. I mean, a lot of things are intuitive, but we don't ever stop to think about or even analyze it from an objective standpoint. You know, I mean, like we were just saying, it's like the stage that we are in our lives. I mean, there's a different perspective. I mean, 10, 20 years ago, you know, we saw things and we did things a lot differently.
Mm-hmm.
You know, being that, you know, we both, like I said, we both have been married.
Mm-hmm.
We're both fathers, you know, even as skateboarders and, you know, and people who are taxpayers and bill payers, man, it just kind of changes a lot of things. You recognize that as you go along and you grow and change and learn and become better or whatever, however you're doing it in life, your perspective definitely changes. I think it's one of the things that's like tantamount to growth. I mean, what do you think?
Oh, definitely to growth, because if you think about it, as a 20-year-old is going to look back on perspective on their life, they look back 10 years, they were only 10 years old, so they don't have that adult perspective to pull from, you know?
Facts.
But you get to 40 years old, you know, you get to our stage, you know, you've had all these relationships, you've been to all, you know, you've gone through school, marriages, whatever, you know, you've had all that to happen. And you go back 10 years, you were a grown-ass man paying bills. You go back another 10 years, you're a grown-ass man paying bills, you know?
Facts.
So.
Facts. And even, you just actually made a good point about relationships. You think about perspective changes to where you do and don't want certain things in your life. It's like, think about friends you had 10 and 20 years ago, even 5 years ago, bro. There's people that we knew that we were like, you were so cool with them and you would think that you were always going to be like kicking it with them, and then it changed, bro. Look, I remember back like here's a perfect example, bro. Every year, man, I got a friend, his birthday, he's dude I skated with back in the days, man. My man Jeff, his birthday's on Christmas. Mm-hmm. So I always send him a text. I used to call him, but you know, we went through a lot, man. I know his family, the whole 9 yards, but long story short, when we were like 14, bro, we started skateboarding together. And then we skated up together till we were about 16, 17. Then he ended up getting in trouble, man. He did an armed robbery with 3 other cats that he was starting to kick it with. And then he got put in jail. So he was in jail. I moved to the West Coast, got a job at Intel, the whole 9. Everything kind of changed. My life changed. I visited him and stayed in contact with him like a good friend should all the way through. But then I was like, yo, bro, I'm moving. Kept in contact with his family, the whole 9. You know, 10, 20 years later, man, we barely even talk. He's in Cali, you know, getting his life together. I text him every year to say, you know, I call it Christmas Jeff Miss. I say, Merry Jeff Miss, you know, Happy Christmas, you know, as a joke. Mm-hmm. But it's like, he's married with 3 kids. He's got bills to pay. But again, even though our perspective may be a little bit similar in some ways, it's completely different in others. He's got a whole new life, whole new friends. So his perspective has changed because he used to kick with me, you know what I'm saying? And we were friends in the whole 9. But as he went through whatever he went through with jail and stuff, his perspective changed.
Bro,
so what he wanted in his life changed, bro. So, and at first I took it a little bit to heart because I'm like, dag, bro, because you look back, you're like, man, I was there for you, driving hours and stuff, you know, with your family, one of the only people to come see you, putting money on your books. But you can't be, I can't be salty at that, man. It's just like, bro, he went through what he had to go through and he's where he's at, just like the same with us, man. So, I mean, you know, and as a weird way of saying this, maybe, you know, he recognizes that his perspective is focus on feeding his family, taking care of his bills and the whole 9, and everything else is just a bit extraneous. He still skates, but, you know, I mean, he's got to, I guess I imagine he probably focuses on what his immediate concerns are. Everything else, he just kind of got to let them be whatever they are. And I'm like, I could respect that. And if letting someone like a friend of his that, you know, knew him back in the day drop off because of where he's at now, I can totally respect that as a man. I ain't mad at him. I'm like, hey, you know, as long as you're doing good, whatever, you know what I'm saying? But that's a perfect example of perspective change. And there was a time where we kicked it every day, right? But, you know, he's in a different place now. And I'm like, I can respect that.
Yeah, man, I think that's natural too. And just to touch on like, you know, going to jail, especially at a young age, like getting in trouble, how that can really alter your perspective, and hopefully for the better, because you like, yeah, I don't want to come back here.
Bro, real quick, man. As far as that's concerned, that's almost like we could do a whole show on that, bro. Because I got a lot of friends the same way, friends and dudes that came up with that just completely went the wrong way, and it's like you look at that, and dude, speaking of perspective, it's one or two ways I've seen dudes come out. Dudes come out and they're like, yo, I ain't never going back type of situation. They want to clean their life up and do better. Than other dudes come out and they're mad at the world, right? It's like you come out with a chip on your shoulder. And I get it, because there's a lot of horrible things that happen when you're in prison, bro. I ain't talking about I'm talking about prison, bro.
Yeah, if you're a felon, it's hard to come back out and start a new life. You know what I mean? Like,
because everybody's against you, bro.
Everybody's against you, and everybody's like suspect of you. Facts. So even if you want to make that change, you already got kind of things stacked up against you, you know what I mean? But that's where I think like healthy perspective is so important, right? Because you can go two different directions with that situation, right? Yep. You can let all the past stuff wear you down, because man, it feels like an uphill battle when you got all that stuff you got to come back from, you know, and to build a new life for yourself. Indeed.
And that's kind of how life can be anyway, man. I mean, you know, like we were saying earlier, just discussing this whole situation, bro, you got to start somewhere, right? In order to get your life going in a direction where it has a positive trajectory, to where you start to accomplish things and become productive and constructive.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But at the same time, bro, it's a situation where, you know, I mean, if someone, you know, it's really up to the person, you know, because perspective is something, you choose it, bro. Just like being happy, bro. You can be mad at the world, and again, is your perspective gonna be anything productive or constructive for you? Have you gone through stuff to where you've arrived at that point where your perspective is different, and you're like, okay, I have to move differently at this point? I mean, it's all on you, man.
Yeah, because I mean, it's that simple saying, you know, the cup is either half full or half empty.
Facts.
And that's, you know, that depends on your perspective in any situation. If your situation is going to be one or the other, you know what I mean? And
facts.
And sometimes you got to just accept that it's going to be horrible and not be fun for a while. You know what I mean? You can't always,
and that's what
you're not always going to be happy,
man.
right? You know, you got to go through
people.
You got to go through some stuff to get to that next place.
And bro, and here you go, perspective again. In the midst of something like that, bro, your perspective can be, okay, yeah, this sucks, but what can I learn from this?
Yeah.
It's not always easy to do that. Sometimes you have to hit the pause button and do like I joke around and call it a station identification, but like, yo, I mean, yo, this is hard. And, you know, and sometimes you get the moments where you're just like, I just don't know if I can do this. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just so hard. But you just have to have the mental fortitude to push through. And perspective is one of the things that'll kind of help you, again, see the light at the end of the tunnel because of the perspective, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Because you can look at people that have been consistent in their lives. You know, the people that have like gotten and reached their goals, they've been consistent and they've pushed through those hard things. You know what I mean? So that the perspective on, you got to put in that work. You know,
like
we
always say, or like I always say when we have conversations, man, you have to just be filling up your toolbox, and perspective is one of the things that can kind of help you develop, you know, and even pick up tools from situations. I mean, in all honesty, it's like we talk about the situation with family, bro. One of the biggest things, right? I mean, perspective. I mean, family could just, family is a trip. I think that's one of the biggest challenges too, because you can't get rid of them. We talked about that. You can't get rid of your mom and dad.
Nah, I mean, even if you don't talk to them, they're gonna be on your thoughts, even if you're not acknowledging it. And it's gonna take a piece of you. You know what I mean?
Indeed, because you have a history with them, and they're part of what built you and your perspective, right?
Yeah.
But even in a situation, if you look at it as something where, like, you know, I have nothing positive to draw from this, okay, well, even perspective can change there. At least you can love them from a distance. You know what I'm saying? You can say, well, I'm trying to make these moves and I don't want these things. Again, perspective in my life, you know, because that's the one that you're functioning with from a perspective standpoint. But you can still love them from a distance. You can be like, okay, this might be a negative situation or thing or person, but at the same time, I don't want, you had a perspective to where you love them from a distance. You don't want to add to the negativity. Yeah. And that's the main thing. It's like, again, constructive, productive, you know what I'm saying, stuff like that. So perspective is all of that. And you employ that in dealing with them. You already know what to deal with. It's like what you're going to be dealing with when you deal with them. It's like going to, I don't know, Christmas or Thanksgiving with your family. Like, okay, it's about to go down. So you have to kind of mentally prepare yourself, you know, and get yourself in a position where your perspective is not allowed to shift, right? You have to kind of get in there and, you know, get yourself ready. You know what I'm saying? And then operate again from that perspective. You know, that way you can kind of just get through the situation in a positive manner, I guess, instead of again contributing to it and being negative.
Yeah, I think it's that balance, right? Because you'll be
Facts.
in those situations and you don't want to be fake. You don't want to just say what's going to make that person
Never.
happy and leave you alone at the moment or whatever, but at the same time, you gotta kind of keep it real, because
Indeed.
some people get stuck, and if you stay there with them, you're not moving forward either, and they don't have the ability to move forward because you're enabling them to stay where they're at.
Man, that's so true.
You know what I
dude.
mean?
So true.
I was just gonna say, don't ever put people out of your heart. They might not
That's a
be
good
in your
point.
lives, and
That's
you
a
might not
good
be
point,
serving
bro.
each other anymore. You might not be excelling them, pushing them forward. They might not be doing that for you.
Word.
But I think there's still a way you can come at it from a place of, compassion, and still, there's certain people in my circle that were in my circle in the past where it's just like, we don't really have things in common. It's obvious that we still care about each other because of history
Indeed.
and whatnot, but it's, and it's fine with me, like there's this one book I read, and it's about, you can pretty much know who you are by the 5 people you hang around the most. That's
Indeed.
kind of a thing that goes around. I think a lot of
Indeed.
people have heard that.
Bro, truth is true.
It is, bro. Because if you're trying to
saying.
get somewhere and everybody else is just getting drunk every night or not
Facts.
doing anything,
Facts.
if you're serious about what you want to do, you're not going to stay there. And
Indeed.
if people aren't going to understand that you're trying to better yourself, then it's maybe that it's not that there's no friendship there at all,
Right.
but there needs to be some alteration there, because if you're not happy for your friends that are trying to excel and push their life forward, then there's a problem there.
Well,
what I
dude,
mean?
it's gonna come out in everything you do, bro. It's
Yeah.
gonna come out in everything you do, and even people will see it. And I mean, it's weird, man. When you start talking about this, it made me start thinking about the idea of growth, and how it should be a constant thing. But it's really, man, I was reading something last week about that. It's like one of the hardest things is to accept the fact that some people you do have to put out of your life. But I like that you said not out of your heart. And of course, they, like you said, not out of your heart, but you do have to kind of man up, you know what I'm saying? Grown man,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? You got to man up, be like, yo, I love you, but I got to keep moving. It's like, bro, I can't drag your weight along too. And that's not what a man does, bro. As men, we support each other. We're going to support our brothers no matter what. But at the same time, each brother's got to pull his own weight. It's like that DITC song. OC says that. It's like, he says, he basically talks about in DITC, it says basically each man holding his own, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, they come together as a coalition, as a group, and they make moves together. But at the same time, everybody has their own accolades in their own direction. You know what I'm saying? But when they come together, then they're DITC. But in their own individual lives as men, they also have their own goals and passion and direction.
No doubt, bro. I mean, if you picture, sometimes you have like maybe one person that's like spearheading something that gets like people
Facts.
gathered and gets them inspired.
Well, it's just
but
playing
you can
position, bro.
Yeah.
It's just playing your position.
play in your position.
Everybody play their position. It ties into that.
Yeah.
So,
Bro, I mean, you look at like super groups like Wu-Tang, you know what I mean? Like,
facts.
each one of those
bro.
dudes had their own solo career. I mean,
Facts.
they're all dope.
Bro, it's
If
like
they-
RZA, bro.
Yeah.
He's kind of like, I wouldn't necessarily say the chairman of Wu-Tang, but in a sense, he kind of is.
He was the
Right?
producer, I think he
Well,
was
he
probably in
kinda-
the studio doing a lot of the mixing.
Indeed, and
early
he charted
on,
the direction.
like-
Did you see some of the things that he wrote as far as he had that vision that if Wu-Tang could do a number of things in succession, then they would be relevant. I don't like that word relevant, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
They would actually still be making money for 20 plus years. Where are we at? I remember I got Method Man Casino, bro, in 1992. I get 1992,
You were
bro.
on it a little bit earlier than me, but I definitely had my 36 chambers around
Word.
95.
Indeed, right?
So I was a little
bro,
late on that, but I definitely was
Bro,
tuned in by
it's
95.
not late though, bro. I mean, 20-something years, bro.
Yeah.
But and the point, RZA was spot on with it. But, he laid the sound for Wu-Tang, right? I mean, the whole break beat, the whole dirty, right? He laid the
grimy.
sound. He laid the sound. So, and again, back 20-something years ago, RZA was doing what people are doing now. But again, he had a vision, and they maintained a perspective. And now look at Wu-Tang. And like you said, they each had their own perspective, but they came together. And they were Wu-Tang when they were Wu-Tang. And they maintained Wu-Tang. Proof is in the pudding, as the saying goes.
Yeah, and you got to have a perspective. You're going to make something like that happen. You got to look at it and be like, this work is worth it. At
Facts.
the end of the day, you know what I mean? It's worth it because this is what I want to be doing and this is where I want to go.
Facts.
And you got to remind yourself that, you know what I mean? Nothing's free, man. Nothing's free. You're going to have to pay for it one way or the other.
You know, bro, ever since I was a kid, I've always thought like this, bro. Seriously, easy come, easy go, bro.
Mm-hmm.
With anything, you know, money drops out the back of an armored truck, bro. I mean, come on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, seriously, what do you think is going to happen? You get the money, but what are you going to do with it? I mean, are you going to seriously feel the same about everything you did with that? I mean, some people might, because everybody's perspective is different, right?
Mm-hmm.
But overall, when you look at the karmic aspect of it, I mean, are you going to feel the same? Is it going to produce the same? Where a situation that you earn that money, it's a whole different ball game with something like that, bro.
And I think sometimes, man, you got to have like very simple stages of perspective because you can get so caught up in whatever you're currently in, you can't even see perspective of what's different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
So you can't even like properly take perspective into question there, like, or look at it correctly, I think, you know? So you get so caught up.
Indeed.
But...
And I know we know plenty of people who have been in that type of situation, man. That's why, I mean, another thing, staying grounded. I mean, it helps you maintain your perspective, man. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know, like we talk about a lot of times, man, it's the timeless wisdom that kind of keeps everything in order. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I mean, again, and especially as you get older, you start to come full circle to see that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Another thing we were talking about, bro, was using the perspective of, you know, someone basically being negative toward you, you know, and using that as a motivator, bro.
That's powerful.
I mean, even something like the comments, bro. Cats be hating in the comments. You know, it's always going to be somebody being negative, bro.
Yep.
You know, and it's just like, I want to tell myself, what hurt is that person carrying? You know, or even in a situation where they just want to get a laugh. Okay, cool. If it's at my expense, no worries, bro.
But they're in some ways searching for some kind of love, though. You know,
Facts.
Otherwise it's like, you know, if you don't like the channel, you know, then you got to go spend your time somewhere else. You know what I mean? So you're there.
And that's the thing too, bro. Right? It's like, yeah, nobody said you need to be here.
Yeah, nobody said you gotta watch
right now. You know what I'm saying? It's like, bro, we put this out there and we're trying to, you know, reach and connect with other cats. You know what I'm saying? Other brothers that are basically in the same boat that we are, and even some who might not be, or even trying to help brothers come up. But, you know, negative cats, whatever, man. Anywhere you go, it's going to be that. You got the cat out in traffic beeping his horn and riding people's bumpers. It's like, bro, we're all out here trying to get, you know, down this same street, bro. Why you tripping? You know what I'm saying?
Bro, and when you hold it on to that negativity too, man. I mean, we all go through it, right? Dude, I'll be in the car and, like, get upset we all know we all do that. You know, you're not going to be perfect, but it's the perspective of coming back, you know, and getting back balance. You know what I mean? It's not about being perfect all the time. It's about,
then, bro, check it. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's just, I guess that's all I was saying. It's just like not beating yourself up. You know what I mean?
Or anybody else for that matter.
Yeah, for that matter.
It's like, cause nothing will be constructive or productive out of that. I've had plenty of situations as we're talking about the highway, right? Or driving on the street, man, cats being all negative. I had road rage incidents, but one thing I don't know if it's my age or what, but I've kind of reached a point where I rarely ever react now. I might have someone do something totally crazy and I'm just like, in my mind, I'm like, what the? But outwardly, I'm just like, wow, you know, I don't know. I hope I'll figure it out, bro. Or I'll just wave, or, you know, I'll be like, I ain't even mad at you. So, because you know how people will do something in there. They know they're like, oh, I did that. You're like, bro, I ain't mad at them. How you doing? I'm like, bro, I'm not even going to waste my time being negative, you know. And again, my perspective is that, you know, I mean, maybe they're going through something. Maybe they're just learning to drive. And even if they're completely in the wrong, bro, I don't have to contribute to the negativity. I don't have to let it mess up my day because whatever reason, you know what I'm saying? Cats going to do whatever they're going to do. I mean, I can't control that.
No doubt, man. Me. And I think that's an important thing to remember too. You know, someone's acting all crazy to you and stuff and you're just sitting there. I mean, that's their problem. That's not your problem.
Bro,
you know what I mean?
That's so true, bro. Not making someone else's problems yours.
Yeah, and not letting people steal your energy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's
bro.
so easy. You go to work, man, people can say just one thing.
Facts.
And it can just get under your skin. You know what I mean? And that person
allowed it.
Yeah, and that person might not even be important in your life.
Facts, like, bro. Isn't that crazy?
Bro.
How someone that bro, just like the street thing. It's like, bro, I don't even know this person, but I'm allowing them to get a rise on me. It's like a line by Guru. I mean, I love it. I give no man or thing power over me. Why he's so jealous and looking sour over me? It's like, you're giving that man or thing power over you when you allow them to pull you out of your zone. Let's say you were, I don't know, you were having a great day, you know what I'm saying? You had a good breakfast, you know, you saw your families, you know, loved ones, the whole night, everything was dope. And then one thing, then you're out of your zone. It's like, bro, you know, like, wow, man, that's, my man tripping. But, you know, you just got to kind of maintain that positive trajectory. It's a choice, bro.
Sometimes people will be like, if they don't have any ambition or ideas,
facts, man,
they are not going to be excited for you. And
they project, bro. They project their fears and insecurities and worries on you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's really saying, I wouldn't do that. I can't do that, you know. But since it's you doing it, it's easy for them to say, you can instead of I can't. Right? So.
And I think you have to be careful. Like, you can tell as many people as you want. Like, there's different perspectives on that. Like, I'm going to tell all these people because then I'm accountable because I told all these people. So I put it out there. So now I have to deliver.
And man, facts.
Right. But then there's the other way, which honestly, man, like, this is a conversation I think me and you had maybe just briefly, but years ago. And I really stuck in my brain. It just popped up. But it was sometimes when you're going to do something, you don't tell anybody.
Bro, that's me lately, bro. And that's me lately.
Yeah. And bro, we talked about that a long time ago. I remember that conversation.
Me lately, bro.
And dude, that stuck with me because I remember, like, I get ideas and I get all excited and I just be running my mouth, right? And then I felt all this pressure.
Indeed.
You know, all this unreal pressure I'd put on myself.
Yeah.
And then I felt like if I don't do this, people are going to think I'm a joke. Facts. When really I could have just, like, you know, so I added all that to, you know what I mean? And that wasn't really what I needed. And then I remember when we had that conversation, I definitely started making some changes when I could, you know, and that helped a lot.
I hear you, man. I really do.
You don't want to cast your pearls before swine. You know, it's like if someone doesn't appreciate good cooking,
right? You
don't want to spend 4 hours in the kitchen cooking them something crazy if they're just going to be like, I would have eaten anything, you know what I mean? So.
Indeed, man. Yeah, you definitely have to be cognizant of who and what you're around and what you expose them to. Some things, you know, let them know what's up. Other time, you don't have to let everybody know what you're cooking up in the lab, bro.
Yeah.
You know, because sometimes they jam up your operation, man. When other times you realize you get so much more done when you just focus and just keep it under wraps until it's time for you to bust and move, or just start busting and move. And then people are like, what you doing? You're like, yeah, you're already in motion. And people kind of, all right, word, you know, they kind of see you, you know, congratulate or whatever. So, but yeah, I mean, like you said, man, you could flip your perspective instead of being like, oh, you know, I can't do this, or man, I'm starting to feel, self-conscious because people are saying this. People are always gonna have something to say, but you know, your perspective has to be that no matter what, you know, I'm making this move, or the more people say things that might not necessarily support me, the more I'm gonna use that to kind of fuel me to hit the goal.
Yeah, and I'm definitely one of those people. You know what I mean? Because I think I had a lot of things I wanted to do that weren't. Just at the time, a lot of people weren't doing, you know what I mean? I think now things are more accessible. A lot of people are doing things.
Internet.
Yeah, the internet. I mean, not that it wasn't around back then, but you couldn't do.
Not like this,
not
bro.
like this, bro.
Not
like
all.
this. Not like, hey, I want to learn how to do this. Type it in on YouTube. 5-minute video, you know, whatever.
Facts. I get that working on cars, and I've been working on cars since I was 17, and I still learn stuff off the internet, bro.
I think what is it, the catalytic converter? I changed in it, and I can't work on cars, but dude, I watched a YouTube video and I did it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, bro, you didn't have that back in the day.
Indeed.
So it's amazing. But but churning, like, so if you are talking to people about what you're doing and you're not getting that positive reinforcement, I know that when I didn't get it, I was like, it wasn't just like revenge feeling, but it was like, okay, I put that and use that as motivation. And every time I started to feel like, no, I just want to go like watch a show or go out with my friends.
Facts.
You know, I was like, no, I pictured my ex-girlfriend laughing at me. You know what I mean? And it wasn't like, oh, I'm mad. I was like, you know what? Like, I'm going to do this. And so that was it. Actually, I ended up flipping that. And I'm so glad I did because
indeed.
You know, when you're young like that, those can be make or break moments. You know?
Man. And again, back to the grown man thing, bro.
Yeah.
You have all these, you know, man lessons, grown or not, whether you're a very young man or a grown man. But as you go along, a lot of the things that, you know, our pops told us, we start to actually apply. Or you start to see the wisdom that they were trying to impart when we were young dudes. And again, your perspective changes. And so we're here chopping it up about, you know, that very thing and how it's affected our lives in so many different ways.
No doubt. Yeah. And just at this point, you know, like you're saying, you start understanding some of the things your dad was telling you and stuff. And it's just, you have more time, more experiences to look back on, more things to pull from. You know what I mean? So like,
Indeed.
I think that's a really, some people don't want to get older, but man, I tell you,
It's
like,
inevitable, bro. And it sure beats the alternative, right?
dude.
I mean, in all
bro.
honesty, it beats our alternative. I mean, cats can say what they want, but it beats our alternative.
Yeah. And
So-
dude, the things I used to worry about, now I just laugh at, bro. Like, man, I used to
Facts,
hate
man.
showing up at the skate park, like when I was 16, 17, and I just hadn't skated yet, and I'm sore and I'm not warmed up. I'm like, dude, if I can't bust out right away, you know what I mean? Now I don't
Yeah.
even care, bro. Now I'm
I hear you.
like 40 years old going to the skate park, and I know I'm probably going to fall once until I get warmed up. You know what I mean?
It happens, man.
But I'm just
You know.
out there having fun, and I don't have that
There
weighing
you go,
over me
perspective
anymore,
change, bro.
right?
You get to the park, you're thinking, yo, I gotta be the smoothest cat here. I gotta land all my tricks. I gotta do everything and not be all sketchy. Now you're just like, bro, I just grabbed my board. I
Yeah.
hit the park and I'm like, yo, I had fun. I busted a couple bonuses. I did a no comply. I landed a kickflip, tray flip, whatever.
Yeah.
Then you have them days where you just murder it. You're like, yo, I was, landed. I had all kind of crazy lines. I was busting out on the quarter. I was doing this. I was doing that.
Uh-huh.
I learned a new trick. You just kind of let it be what it is, man, instead of having these expectations where you're just like hella pressure and you're just like, bro, no one's even caring.
Dude, that's seriously, bro. If you're feeling that way, you're going to look around and you're going to see it on people's faces. But if you
Facts.
change your perspective, it's like you can go from like, everybody hates me to, dude, everybody, we're just all skating together.
Dude,
You know what I mean?
crazy. Oh
It's
my
seriously,
God,
bro.
excuse me, bro. No, that's
That's how it
You're
is.
there, every chick you don't bust, like that guy, you're thinking, that guy, everyone's like, he sucks, man. He said, bro, get out the way.
Yeah.
Everyone's just like, yo, everyone's there feeling, something akin to that, or just like, bro, whatever, man. I'm trying to land this kickflip, or I'm
Yeah.
trying to get this 5-0, shove it out. No one cares, man.
But sometimes if that is so bad, like you're so nervous or whatever, people pick up on that energy and then they don't want to talk to you because you're like, this person's
Indeed.
awkward, or like,
Indeed, bro.
like, I don't even know if I could just say hi to them. They're gonna be like, huh?
That's
You know
so
what I mean?
funny,
Like,
bro. And they're
so
like,
it's like,
man, what's with this guy? You're
Yeah.
just thinking it's like everyone thinks I suck. And they're like, man, like, what's with this dude? It's really, but it's all something that you completely created, man.
yeah, and you're projecting on other people,
Indeed.
and you're not, you know what I mean? And so you could be looking at them almost sideways because you're feeling like they're looking at you sideways, and they're like, why is this guy looking at me sideways?
Indeed. Instead of just going and busting out, man.
Yeah.
Again, if you go with the perspective of just, I'm gonna go, I'm gonna have fun,
Mm-hmm.
get my heart rate up for a little bit, roll around, just enjoy being on my board, and then I'm a mob out of here.
Yep.
That's pretty much gonna be my day. You get there and you're chilled, you have no expectations, and then next thing you know, you're just flowing. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Just having like, wow, today was even doper than I thought. So
Yeah, and you're like, this is why I do this, because it's
Facts,
fun. It's
man.
not. It's
Facts.
nothing to do with like what people are
that was
looking at
it
me,
right there, bro.
Yeah.
That was it. This is why we do this, man.
Yeah. And
So
like
that's what's up.
too, I think, it's like, I remember too, I had this one friend, this is back at the 40th house when we were all hanging out there for a while.
Word.
But we were talking about some dudes and we were like, yeah, like they weren't working with us on music or something. And he was just like, get in where you fit in.
Indeed.
You know what I mean? And that's like a common saying. I think people hear that. But when he
But
said
it's true
it,
though, bro.
it sparked, like it burned in my brain when he said that at that moment. Cause I was like, bro, why would you want to be trying to get in where people really don't want you sitting there anyways? So it's
Indeed.
like you going around in your life trying to impress people or do things in a certain way when these aren't even people you'd want in your circle anyways.
Indeed, bro.
If you're being
it's just-
genuine and being yourself and people aren't down with it,
yeah.
bro, why would you even want to be messing with that?
Nah, if you like you said, bro, if you're straight up and just true to yourself and whatever, everything is just gonna fall into place. That's just how it always goes. It doesn't seem like it because it's so easy to get caught up. So we talked about in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, like you said with the skate park situation, it's something you created anyway. You're in a moment that you created.
Mm-hmm.
You're in a moment, you're in your feelings, like, hella anxiety. It's like, bro, why are you tripping? Like, just
Yeah.
cool out, bro.
Mhm.
And then your perspective changes again. And then you're like, all right, word. You start landing tricks, you start calming down everybody. It's just, you're like, man, why was I even tripping?
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy how that
It's
goes.
just-
It's akin to the whole idea of rolling with the punches, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like one of my favorite analogies is fighting.
Mhm.
I make everything like fighting, man. It's just like you get, even if you're a good fighter, you're going to get punched.
Yeah.
You can't be a good, you can be Floyd, but even, let's just keep it 1,000.
That's true. Floyd doesn't
right?
really get punched that much.
Hold on. He doesn't, but,
Yeah.
but there was a road he took to get to the point where he's not getting punched when you see him. He got
Oh, yeah.
punched a lot on the way to getting to the point where he doesn't get punched.
Bro, you got to get punched probably several times to learn how to
They ain't
miss
no
those
getting around
punches.
that. You're gonna get punched or what? And then and let's just be, just completely, honest about it too. Floyd might not get punched that much, but even now, he still got hit.
Yeah.
I mean, he might not have taken much damage at all, but he took some hits. It wasn't a situation where Floyd was just not moving, then he gets tagged, then his fight ends. No, he was like, oh, okay, word, okay, he got me, so let me adjust. It's the same way. I mean, life is the same way. I mean, you can gauge distance. You know what I'm saying? It's analogous to just adjusting. I mean, everything in life is like fighting, or anything that you're doing. It's not in a negative sense, but I'm saying in the sport of fighting, and in the sweet science of boxing or any other type of pugilistic or fighting art, there's a lot that goes into it, and adjustment is a huge part. You have to look back, assess, and figure out how to approach, even from opponent to opponent. It's the same thing, situation to situation. I mean, this is dope, bro. I mean, I think this is, I'm looking forward to creating more content, man, and sharing what, all the brothers out there, man, that are trying to basically, go along the same, journey, as we are as men, you know what I'm saying? Just coming up, growing, sharing, you know what I'm saying? And just, again, supporting and looking out for each other, man.
Definitely.
Trying to parlay our experiences.
Definitely. Yeah, so, this is the first episode.
Word.
You're going to see us make some steps here. But, we knew we just had to, strike. We literally put this idea together a week and a half ago, but I think it's been on, both of our minds.
Indeed.
And then when we started talking about it, because we just always have these kind of conversations anyways.
Facts.
And so anyways, yeah. So thank you if you're here and you just watched the whole episode. Man. This is our first episode of the Grown Man Cypher. If you got anything to say about what we talked about, or you want to get into it a little bit more, or you have any ideas, we'd love to see them in the comments.
Yeah, throw them in there, man. You know what I'm saying? Subscribe, tell your friends about us. For the cast is trying to build, let's do this.
Yeah.
Simple and plain.